The gray curtain of night tightly enveloped the group of 5 lost travelers as they found themselves in a dense forest. The sound of trees, shifting shadows, and impenetrable darkness surrounded them from all sides. They were lost in time and space, wandering along unnamed trails until they stumbled upon something strange, an abandoned town, as if torn from the past and forgotten by time. When they saw it, they were filled with a sense of wonder and apprehension. The group couldn't understand how a town could be in this thick, God-forsaken forest. But unanimously, they decided to explore it, as the prospect of spending the night in the forest with no shelter did not appeal to them at all. Cautiously, they approached the first building. It turned out to be the ruins of an old store, its collapsed facade greeting them, and the windows boarded up as if trying to hide something dreadful from the world. The next building was an old school. Its ruins seemed to be witnesses of a long-forgotten nightmare. But there was not a soul around in the town. The whole place seemed abandoned, forgotten by both God and people. No light, no sound, nothing indicated that life had once thrived there. "This is so strange," whispered Emma, clutching her friend Mark's hand. "Why doesn't anyone live here?" Mark merely shrugged in response, but an ineffable fear lurked in his eyes. The soul of the town, as if vanished into oblivion, left behind traces of mystery and darkness. Eventually, the travelers decided to spend the night in this enigmatic place, setting up an improvised camp in a small, presumably municipal building. But through the night, they heard whispers, rustles, footsteps. Ghosts of the past, like ominous shadows, roamed the streets and inside the buildings, deceptively beckoning them into their embrace. Having spent the sleepless night due to fear of the ghosts, in the morning they decided to further explore the town. The old streets seemed like tangled skeins of forgotten destinies, and the ruins of houses concealed numerous mysteries of the past. All the buildings were empty, as if frozen in time. In the school, they found old textbooks and notebooks, their pages seemingly frozen with the breath of departed children's voices. In the library, dusty books described the customs of the town and the lives of the people who once lived there. The longer they explored the town, the clearer it became that the mystery surrounding it was much more complex than they had thought. Searching the town hall, they found records of experiments conducted in secret from the world and of the terrible consequences they had brought. The records spoke of an underground bunker where these experiments were conducted, and its location was indicated. After several hours of heated discussion, the group of friends finally decided to venture and explore this bunker. When they reached the destination, they saw before them the entrance to the bunker, protected by massive doors. But what was strange was that the doors were open, as if someone had broken them from the inside. Entering inside, the group discovered gloomy laboratories, dotted with monitors and mechanisms, as if living their own lives, awaiting their moment. All the walls were covered with images, seemingly predicting the coming of evil. On the tables, amidst dust and old instruments, the purpose of which they feared to imagine, the friends found diaries and records describing the experiments conducted here decades ago. They learned that the town had been settled by a group of scientists, wishing to create a new society, free from tyranny and pain. But their ambitions led to monstrous results, catastrophically altering the fabric of reality. With heavy hearts, they realized that the townspeople had become prisoners of these scientists' ambitions, their souls seeking liberation but finding themselves trapped in the labyrinth of time and space. The secret experiments conducted underground led to the town being trapped in eternal darkness, and its inhabitants became cursed wanderers amidst the ruins. Suddenly, while exploring another laboratory room, something strange happened. All the monitors in the room unexpectedly turned on, showing interference on the screens. The walls began to echo with the workings of the bunker's mechanisms, which also started operating, as if the spirits of the past had come to life. Sounds of interference and gears filled the room, and the ominous shadows froze in the corners, as if waiting for their prey. As soon as they saw the shadows, all their flashlights stopped working at once. Terrified, the entire group instantly rushed to the exit. Fear filled their hearts, and they ran as if a moment's hesitation would cost them their lives. Emerging from the bunker, they saw a grim sight before them. Everything around was filled with shadows and ghosts, lurking around. With a sense of horror, they decided to return to their temporary camp, trying to bypass all the souls surrounding them. With each step, they felt the city becoming more alive, its darkness beginning to engulf them. like a huge jaw ready to close its teeth. Upon reaching the town hall, the group decided to discuss their findings and decide on their next course of action. During the conversation, Mark pulled an old book from his backpack, which he had taken from the bunker. It contained information about a ritual that was supposed to help free the souls of the inhabitants of this cursed city. After heated discussion, they concluded that their mission here was not yet complete. They had to uncover the remaining secrets of this cursed place and free the local souls from centuries of darkness. That night, they decided to perform the ritual, which they assumed would free the souls of the deceased and rid the city of its curse. The friends chose the central square as the location for the ritual. Near the fountain, symbolizing life and the source of water, they lit a fire of dry branches and wood, creating a powerful center of energy. Mark pulled out an ancient book from his backpack, its dust a testament to its age and significance. Its pages were adorned with golden patterns, and the words written on them seemed to shimmer with their own light. Studying the text, Mark began to read the words of the ritual, filled with the magic and power of ancient times. The other members of the group joined him, their voices merging into a single chorus, filling the air with mysterious energy. The ritual continued, each word spoken with special attention and devotion, penetrating the depths of the city, awakening its souls from centuries of slumber. The travelers felt the power of the ritual growing, as if a stream of magic filled every fiber of their being. Ghosts began to appear around the fire, images of the past, trapped in the whirlwind of time and darkness. They approached the source of light, as if seeking redemption from their suffering and bondage. The friends continued to recite incantations, directing the power of the ritual to every corner of the city, to every soul within it. Time seemed to slow down, and the surrounding world distorted under the influence of the magical force that enveloped them all. And at one moment, when the fire blazed brightly, as if a bright ray of hope pierced the darkness, the ghosts began to disappear, turning into glowing ashes that dissolved into the air. The travelers realized that their efforts had borne fruit, and the city was freed from the curse, while the souls of its inhabitants found peace. However, something in this joyful picture seemed wrong. A sinister rumble emanated from somewhere deep underground, and though the shadows had disappeared, they left a strange taste of danger in the air. Emma squeezed Mark's hand, feeling the tension in the air, which seemed palpable on her skin. The friends realized that freeing the city from the curse was only the first step, and now they had to deal with the source itself, which had caused this curse and was hidden deep underground, in the dark depths of the forgotten bunker. Deciding that there was no turning back, they gathered all their strength and resolve and headed towards the entrance to the bunker. Before entering, they armed themselves with old axes and rusty knives they had found among the ruined buildings, and made several improvised torches, as all their flashlights had stopped working during their previous stay there. Mark took a torch in his hand, illuminating the way forward, while the others followed, feeling that their fate was too strongly intertwined with this place to simply retreat. Their hearts beat faster as they crossed the threshold and entered inside. Inside, darkness reigned, with only the faint glow of Mark's torch lighting the way forward. The path through the corridors was dark and dreadful, like a road to hell, but they had no doubt about their goal. They decided to ignore the rooms they had already explored and continued to venture deeper into the grim bunker. Finally, after some time of wandering, the group stumbled upon a room with an altar at its center, adorned with strange symbols and candles, as if inviting demons from the realm of the dead. Throughout the room lay the skeletons of people, most likely belonging to the scientists who had sparked this whole story. On the altar lay a skeleton, from whose rib cage protruded an ancient sword. This was the sacrifice brought by the culprits, but they themselves also fell victims to this ritual. Suddenly, the air filled with pressure, as if an invisible force engulfed them. Inside the bunker, a terrible rumble ensued, and the earth beneath their feet began to crack. From the altar began to rise a huge silhouette, as if awakened from a deep slumber. With horror, the group of friends realized that they had encountered the source of evil, which had been dormant in the dark depths of the bunker. The creature, awakened from its oblivion, rose before them, a huge, grotesque form woven from darkness and shadow. Its eyes gleamed like fiery coals, its skin covered in wounds and scars, as if it had been expelled from the very depths of hell. "It's the end," whispered Emma, feeling that they couldn't overcome such evil. but Mark refused to give up. Stepping forward, he charged at the monster, leading the entire group. The battle was brutal and merciless. The group attacked the creature, using all their strength and skills. But every blow, every attempt was met with unimaginable force of evil they had unleashed. The demon was invincible, it was the embodiment of darkness, and their powers couldn't match it. As the battle raged on, the creature emitted cries and roars, its dark forces filling the air with terror and agony. Each continued to strike, despite the exhaustion and despair that engulfed them. They fought on, despite all threats and dangers, but their efforts were futile. The creature was too powerful, too terrifying to be defeated by mere mortals. Their end seemed inevitable, their fate sealed. But then, at the very last moment, when all seemed lost, when the forces of evil threatened to engulf them forever, something incredible happened. In the heat of battle, Mark seized the hilt of an ancient sword shoved in the altar, and, pulling it out, he struck the monster, leaving a wound on its body. With each blow, Mark, holding the ancient sword, felt his power growing. He poured all his emotions and strength into every strike, knowing that not only his own life, but also the lives of his friends and the fate of the world depended on this battle. Emma and the other members of the group, seeing his courage and determination, supported him with their own strikes. The friends realized that this was their chance, and they couldn't let it slip away. They rushed at the demon and began to strike it with all their might. After being wounded by the sword, all subsequent strikes began to inflict damage on the monster as well. Their joint efforts became more coordinated and powerful, as if they had found reserves of strength they hadn't even suspected. Finally, at the moment when the creature was on the brink of defeat, Mark raised the sword high above his head and delivered the final, decisive blow. The resounding strike pierced the heart of the creature. It froze, as if struck by a sudden flash of light. Its eyes dimmed, its powers began to wane, and its dark essence began to slowly dissipate, like smoke fading into nothingness. They all stood in place, their hearts beating faster, their breath heavy. They survived. They defeated the evil that had been summoned to this place. But the price of victory was high. The city was saved, but they had paid for it with their blood and suffering. They emerged to the surface, leaving behind the dark secrets and horrors that lurked in the forgotten corners of the bunker. The city was now free from the curse, and the ghosts of the past no longer roamed the streets. Finally, they could leave this city forgotten by time. As they walked through the forest, the rising sun illuminated their path, like a symbol of a new beginning. Their spirits were unyielding, their friendship was strong, and their resolve was unwavering.